Welcome, ladies, to the Laugh or Cry podcast, where we discuss the roller coaster lives of busy women who also happen to be moms and wives. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm glad that you can make it. If you're returning, welcome back. Today we're starting a new series based on my ebook titled, How Did I Lose Myself? 7 Ways to Get Back to Being You. This episode is about how to rediscover yourself to be the best you that you can be. This is something that I'm sure we all struggle with at one point or another in our busy lives. I can say that it does crop up for me from time to time, but not as bad as it had been a few years ago. So you may be wondering, how do you stay true to yourself? The first thing you need to do is know who you are. Know what your identity is. How would you describe yourself? Don't think about how people would describe you, but how would you describe yourself? Do you remember your dreams as a young child? What did you want to be when you grew up? All I remember is wanting to be in the medical field, specifically a doctor. Well, in school, I narrowed it down to doing research work. I had plans. I was going somewhere. Notice how often the pronoun I comes up. Now, fast forward a decade or two. My plans did not go as I had hoped. My life was in a different place, but good. I was happy, or at least I thought I was, until I started evaluating my life. What have I accomplished? What direction is my life going? What has changed? What is more important now than was before? I still wanted to make an impact in life, but how I did it changed. Slowly but surely the answer came to me, but it took a while. I first had to answer one simple question. Who am I? This question is not as simple as you may think. Take a moment to answer it yourself. How many of your answers did not involve someone else? My initial answers were, I am the daughter of. I am the sister of. I am the wife of. I am the mother of. And I am the daughter-in-law of. I knew it was more than that. My next answers were, I am a child of God. I am an employee. And I am a church member. Not one time did I even claim my name, which should be the basic self-identity. When we introduce ourselves to someone else, we typically say our name. So why not claim your name when reintroducing yourself to yourself? Why didn't I use my name as one of my identity points? Did you list your name? If you did, why did you? What made you think to add it? Please put it in the comments below because I am curious about what made you decide to add your name. Now you are probably wondering, how can you identify yourself if you cannot use your relationship with others? Don't get me wrong, those identities are still you, but I would mark them as secondary identities because they do not define who you are, but are a result of who you are. So how would you start to self-identify? Starting this can be hard or easy depending on where you are in your self-discovery journey. To help out with this process, here are 7 practical ways to jumpstart your journey. Number 1, look at your character. How do you react? What did you think? How do you think? Mind you, these could be both positives and negatives, but we will focus on positives. If you discover that you have more negatives, you can start working to change them to be positive ones, but that's a topic for another day. My relationship to this will be that a majority of my reactions are to pause before I react. And that gives me time for my brain to kick in, for me to start thinking. This is a character trait that I would use to identify myself. Another that I would use would be that I always look on the positive side of things. That doesn't mean that I disregard a problem or that I'm oblivious to a problem, but I try to look for the positive in everything. So, what identifies you? What character trait can you use as an identity marker? Just keep in mind that what identifies us does not have to be titled. It can be phrases, feelings, even attitudes. So anything goes because you are special. You do not have to be like somebody else because you are what makes you you. Number 2, look at your values. What is important to you? Think of what has shaped those values. How have these helped you with your decision making? Many things can shape our values, and our values may not necessarily stay the same as we get older because we keep on changing. So our values may shift or get richer or even be replaced by newer ones. Culture, religion, family, and friends are just some examples of what can also shape our values. Any experience can shape your values. So for me to answer this, I would be looking at being a Christian. I would look at the close relationships I have with my parents, sisters, husband, son. These would be the root of most of it. So to pick one thing, I would say doing the right thing would be a value that identifies me. I try to do this even as I acknowledge that I am not perfect. Number 3, hobbies. Yes, ladies, I did say hobbies. Your hobbies can be a way to identify yourself and can take many forms. So finding one or even identifying yours should not be hard. They do not even have to be about doing something physical or something tangible. If you love to relax with music, that could be a hobby. Everybody's hobby is based on their interests and what they love to do, and it is very individualized. So how can a hobby be used as a marker, you may be wondering? Let me give you an example. I have several interests, and one of them is crafting. So I would identify myself as a crafter. Now we can get down to it and become more specific in terms of what kind of crafts I like to do. And then I would start narrowing it down to jewelry, sewing, and all kinds of different things. If hobbies can help you figure out who you are, why not use them? This should be a fun way to do it because you would look at something that you enjoy doing. And so describing it should be easy. The beauty of this is that you can explain it based on either what you're doing or how you're feeling. Pick any. Number 4, dream list. Now, this one will require your creative juices to make your list. For example, if you have a list of places that you would love to visit, then you could call yourself a, destination researcher, a travel expert. You get my drift. Anything on your dream list, you could call it a bucket list, can become a way to identify yourself because our lists are pulled from our desires or pulled from our interests. My choice for this would be learning how to play chess. So part of my identity would be loving to learn new things. And that's how I'll identify myself. I love to learn new things and I do research into learning new things. Number 5, your role in relationships. Please do not be confused by my use of the word relationship. This is not about others, but about how you relate to others. How do other people value your relationship with them? Now, again, try to look at the positives in this. This may be harder to do because our first instinct is to look at the negatives or what we think of as the bad in ourselves. If this stumps you, then ask your loved ones what they value most about your relationship with them and others. And one thing that sticks out for me with this step when I look at my family, friends, and even colleagues will be my willingness to help when I can. How would you answer this step? What would you put here? Number 6, ask. This step is somewhat tied to the previous one in that it involves others. In this instance, you are to ask your friends and family how they would identify you. Of course, if I were you, I would stipulate that you would only want the positive. Now, keep in mind that if you use this step, you need to be open to the danger that you may get or not get the answers that you hope for. Of course, you may not mind the answers if you are close to that person. In my case, it would be my husband, my sisters, and my parents. As with many things that you hear, filter these answers through the lens of yourself. Remember, they would be saying what they see of you, but cannot know your heart unless you tell them. So basically, ask them, listen to them, look at what they say, and filter it through your heart's desires and your interests. Number 7. Now, this is a fun one. Find your twin or doppelganger. This is a fun exercise and can be done anywhere and with practically everything. For example, you can be watching a show and one of the characters in particular seems like you or reacts as you would. How would you identify them? Why can't you share that same term? If you can identify their character, who they are, why can't you use the same thing? Here's another one. You're out walking and you see something that you would not do or say. What would you call it? How would you describe your reaction? Here is yet another example. You read a book and one of the characters is thinking of something. Would it be something that you would also think of? How would you define that moment or that thought? This method opens up a whole lot of ideas to help you find words and behaviors that would help with self-identification. So, I love The Lord of the Rings, and I am a wannabe Arwen, well, to some extent. And I would identify with her because I would stay in Middle-earth if there was still hope of salvation, if there was still hope of things turning around and the bad being conquered. I would also stay for love. I know that sounds corny, but if I were in that situation, I would do the same thing. As you ponder these steps, you may be wondering, why is it important for me to know who I am? Why do I need to put words to what identifies me? Why do I need an identity that is not based on relationship with others? My hope and goals are for each woman, each mom, each wife to be comfortable in their skin with who they are and accept who they are. To do that, you need to know who you are. Where does your confidence come from? If we relied on others to make us feel strong, to make us feel confident, when they are not there, does that mean we are going to feel weak? That we are going to feel less confident? It is time for us busy moms and busy wives to take care of ourselves to be able to be content, whether we are with our family and friends or whether we are by ourselves. And I believe to get there, we need to know what makes us tick. These are just some practical ways to start the process of rediscovering yourself. It is not a cut and dry process, but a great place to start. From time to time, each of us will need to come back and readdress who we are because we are forever changing. My goal is that we will all strive to be strong, confident women, starting with being confident with who we are. Confident in who we know and believe ourselves to be. May your heart be filled with joy as you start this adventure. So ladies, thank you for your time, and go ahead and let me know down below, what is your favorite method? It could be either one of the ones we talked about, or it could be one that you already use and hasn't been mentioned. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, ladies, have a blessed, awesome day.